What's up, guys? It's Chris here with Prestige Auto. Today we're going to be doing a water pump on this Buick Rendezvous. So let's pop the hood and let me show you guys some signs of a bad water pump. Alright, so let me show you guys a couple signs of a bad water pump. One of them is to look on your hood. Now you see that right there? That's usually whenever your water pump is leaking, it drips down on the belt and it always slings like this rooster tail. It'll be like that on your hood. It could be going sideways. You know, if you've got a sideways mounted engine and your belts are coming across the front, then it'll be shooting that way, like that. But that's a very good sign when it's doing that. We're not overheating or anything. It's a very small leak. So right here's our water pump. You can get it up to temp and you can kind of watch, and it's dripping water. You probably can't see it, but it's dripping water right behind this pulley right here, down onto the belt, and that's causing it to sling it everywhere. So it's a pretty easy job to do. Let's get our tools together and I'll show you guys how to change this thing out. Alright, we've got a couple tools together now. One of the first things we want to go ahead and do to make room for this water pump, again, I'll stand back so you guys can see, you know, here's your whole engine. If you're going to look right there, always go to your belt area. That's where your water pump's going to be. If you locate your belt, you'll see the belt goes around your water pump. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and disconnect this battery and get it out of our way. That'll open us up some space right here to work with. We're going to disconnect this plug and just kind of pull this back. Now there's a little plastic cover right here, and it gives you your belt diagram on it. It's right there. We're going to take that off so that way we have more room. Right underneath, right up in here, is a 10mm bolt that's holding that thing on. So we're going to take that 10mm out, get that out of the way, get this plug pulled back and this battery out, and that'll open us up some room. So let's get to that. Alright guys, we've got her opened up now. So, whoops. Alright, so we've got our battery out of the way. It was right here, and we unplugged this cord and just got it opened up so we have more room. Now, right here's our water pump pulley. Now, we want to go ahead and pop these bolts loose right here. There's usually 4. Looks like somebody lost one of these before, so we've only got 3 left. It may be a 10mm. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Anyways, don't take them all the way off. Just pop them loose, because if you take off the belt first and then you try to take these off, it's just going to spin. Right now it's held in place. Break those free. Then we'll do the process of getting this belt off or free from this water pump so that we can take this pulley off. And there's a few bolts behind that pulley right there, and that'll pull that water pump out. Pretty easy job. So let's go ahead and break these free, and I'll show you guys how to take that belt off. Alright, we've got those bolts a little loose now, so that pulley's ready to come off. We need to loosen this belt. Now to get to this belt, we're going to look in the back right here, in this area. You're going to see your tensioner pulley. Let's see if we can locate this thing and show it to you in there. Okay, it's way back there. And it is, if I can keep my light on it, it's right there. You'll see your belt right here coming and goes around it. So on the very end of it right there, it's got a little square box opening for you to put your ratchet in. That will allow you to pull up on it, and it springs in and relieves the tension on that belt, and we'll be able to pop it off that pulley. So let's go get us a box end ratchet, and I'll show you guys how to break that thing free. Alright, so they make a couple different tools to take that the belt off with the tensioner pulley. They have this bar right here that you can get from, I got this one from Harbor Freight for about, I think it was like $25, and it comes with a bunch of extensions. It comes with an extension on this that comes off a little bit. It comes with a couple sockets that are your common sizes for the tensioner pulley, and it also comes with this little ratchet looking thing, or not ratchet, like wrench looking thing with a little box end that you click this on, so you can get in there and get it free. So sometimes you're not able to get the right angle with this, and it doesn't always work. In that case, I've got just our regular ratchet right there, box end, and I'll put me a little, I've got like a little cheater bar I put on there so I can bend it. But whatever, I try this first. If this works, I'll use this. If not, I'll always come back to this, and that'll get it off. Okay, I'm going to try to get it off with this now. But like I said, sometimes the way the box opening is on that pulley, you can't get this at the right angle to even make it make sense in there. So we're going to try. It's right down on the very end. I'm not sure if you can see this on the video, but it's in this area right here. And no, we're not going to be able to get this in. It doesn't fit at that angle, which is no problem. We'll use our ratchet. This right here, we can turn this whatever way we need to get. And we're just going to get it in there. And when you get it locked in, pull up a little bit. And when you do, it's going to relieve the pressure on this belt. We'll just pop the belt right to the side. So let's see if we can reach in there and get that thing out now. Okay, now we've got it in there. We're just going to pull up on it. I'm not sure again if you can see this in the video, but we'll pull up on it and it's going to give us some relieve the pressure. So see, I'm taking this belt off, and then be easy. Don't just let go of that because it will spring back fast. Gently let it down, and then pop out your wrist, your wrench, and you're good to go. We've got our belt off. These bolts are already loose. Like I said, you can see this pulley's ready to go now. So that's going to be our next step. We're going to take these off the rest of the way and get this pulley off here. Alright, so we have got that pulley taken off there, and you can see your water pump. Now it looks like somebody's pulled this thing off and did a crappy job putting it back together. There's this silicone all hanging out. Looks like junk. You can see real close where it's been, let me get in there, where it's been leaking. See all the water, all the crap around inside there. Alright, so now that we've made it this far, it is very simple from here. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, there's like 5 or 6 bolts around this thing. So we're going to go ahead and take those out. Now be careful whenever you pull this thing off. If your vehicle is still warm, you're going to want to be careful when you take this thing off, because that water's still hot in there or still warm and it could burn you. So make sure you've let the vehicle cool down, or just be careful whenever you take this thing off. Take off those, and then it's just going to kind of pop off. It might be kind of stuck on there from that old silicone, but just give it a little jiggle and maybe a light little tap, and it'll pop right out of there. Okay, so these bolts right here are going to be a 5/16. You can use an 8mm, but a 5/16 works best for me. So let's go ahead and get these off. All right, before we pull that thing out now, you want to make sure you get you a little tub underneath there, because when we pull that off, some coolant's going to come flushing out. So make sure you get your pan kind of underneath that general area, so that when it comes out, it will spill into that bucket. Also, don't forget to make sure to go subscribe to my channel, please. Thanks. All right, let's get this thing out. All right, we've got this son of a gun all the way out. I think it was 5 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it was 5. So it's still kind of held in there by this silicone junk. Alright, so we're going to give it just a little tap. Okay, that didn't work. We're going to give it another one. Okay. Alright, we have got that son of a gun out of there. As you can see there, once it breaks free, it just kind of slides out, and it's got like little impellers on the other side of it. But there's where it went. Now you're going to want to take yourself, I use a razor blade, and just go around this edge right here and clean it up real good, then wipe it off with a cloth. Get that mating surface real clean. Now we're going to walk over here, and here are, let me turn off this flashlight. Here is the old one, and you can see where they put that crap all over it, the blue stuff. Now it was just leaking out from there. And then also, these things have a weep hole on them. Let's see if we can locate this one right there. See down in there? See that hole? See how it's rusty around it? When these things go bad, they start leaking from that hole right there. And that's what causes it to leak behind that pulley and drop down onto your belt and sling everywhere. So, right there. Now, here's our new one. I think this thing was only like $26 from AutoZone. So, Not too bad. Not a hard job to do and not an expensive part. Now, as far as putting all this crap or a gasket back on there, your new one comes with a gasket. So we've got a new gasket here. Let's just clean up our surface on our engine block over there, and then we'll put the new gasket on there and get this one back on. So let's get to it. All right, so we got our new water pump here. We need to go ahead and get this gasket and put it on. Now, one thing I noticed about this gasket and this mating surface right here, let me see if you can see this. Okay, there's a little notch on this thing right here. There's not another one all the way around it, only right there. So there's also a little notch on our gasket right there. So I'm going to make sure you turn it around the appropriate way where the hole is beside it. And we're going to put it on that way. All right, and another little trick that I do is I'll take a little bit of this black gasket maker, just a tiny bit, and put like maybe 2 or 3 dots on it. Keep it from slipping around while we're trying to do the installation. We'll put it on there and we'll hold it down. It'll kind of glue it in place. That way it doesn't fall around, you know, like that. Fall around like that while we're trying to install it. So let's put a little bit of sealant on there to hold it. And we're going to get this thing put back in place. Well, all right, we've got our new water pump here, and you can see, make sure you get all your holes lined up on your new gasket. We've got our silicone under there so it holds it in place. Now, this water pump will only go on one way, so don't stick it on and stick your first bolt in real tight. Get all your bolts in hand tight first, finger tight them in to make sure everything's lined up. It says there's an alignment tab on here somewhere. There's like a little, it's like a little tab right there. I don't see anything on here that it aligns with, so maybe I'm missing something. Anyways, I might have to do it a couple times. So we're just going to line it up. You just want to set it in there. And then, like I said, hand tight a couple of your bolts in just to make sure everything's going to line up. And then if you can get them all in by hand, then you must have put it on the right way. So let's try to get a couple of these in. First one's lining up pretty good. Now, I did put a little bit of silicone around the on the inside lip of this right here too, just in case there's any imperfections on that edge. The silicone will fill it in, and we won't have any little voids leaking out coolant. So I've got 3 out of the 5 in. I'm searching around for the 4th hole. I found it. So I think that I kind of got lucky. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah, I think I might have got lucky on this one. If this last one goes in, then I put it on right the very first time. And I think we're good. Okay, so it looks like the way I did it is this little alignment point, we just did it straight up at the 12 o'clock position, you know, up here by this little notch thing, and everything seemed to go in good. So now we're going to hand tighten them down in a crisscross position. Not hand tight. We'll get our little ratchet and ratchet it down. Just snug though, and in a crisscross pattern. And then when you're ready to torque them down, these need to be torqued down to 89 inch-pounds. 89 inch-pounds is what these are going to torque to in a crisscross pattern. So let's get our torque wrench out and let's go ahead and start torquing these son of guns down. All right, we've got that thing torqued down to 89 inch-pounds, the 5 bolts. We did that in a crisscross pattern, and that thing is snugged down pretty good now. Now we're ready for our to put our pulley back on. Now you want to flip it around to the inside here, and it looks clean, but we're going to take a little Scotch pad. I'm not going to do this over the engine. I don't want to spill some stuff in there. So let's move right over here. And you just want to clean around on the inside of that to make sure you have no obstructions or no junk built up in there, because if you've got anything in there and it's cocked just a little bit, it can cause this thing to ride funny and it'll wear out your water pump a lot sooner. So just clean this up on the inside right here, wipe it out real good, and blow that out with some air, and then we'll be ready to put this thing back on. Okay, so we've got this thing cleaned up now, and we're going to put this back in. Remember, you've got 4 bolts there. Now these bolts are going to torque down to 18 foot-pounds. These are 18 foot-pounds. Now what I recommend on this is to go ahead and put it on, get them all hand snug and pretty snug. You're not going to be able to torque them down because it's just going to spin. So you get them down snug, we'll put our belt back on. When the belt's back on, then you'll have some pressure, or you'll have some resistance to it, so you'll be able to crank those down to 18 foot-pounds. Let's go ahead and put these back on. All right, guys, we are getting close to having this thing wrapped up. So I've got that thing snug down by hand like I told you. See how it just spins like that? So if you were to put your ratchet on there and start cranking on it, it's just going to spin. So now we've got to get this belt back on. Now it's up in here. There's a piece of it, and it's all over the place. So what we want to do is we will find, here it is, the little plastic piece that we took off earlier, and it's got our belt diagram right there. So now we're going to go by this diagram and route our belt back around like it goes. And whenever you get close to putting it on to your last, whenever you get close to putting it on your last pulley, I usually weave it on all of them until I'm up to about this one or one of these up top. Makes it a lot easier. When you get close and you don't have enough, you'll reach in there with your ratchet and pull on it, and it will give you it will loosen it up enough to get it on one of these pulleys. So let's get back up in there and we'll get our ratchet on that tensioner and line this belt back up and see and get this thing back on. All right, we've got this job wrapped up now. We've got that belt back on. So like I said, way up in there, same way we took the belt off, put your ratchet back on your pulley, on your tensioner pulley, and pull up so that we can get our belt back on. Make sure that your belt is on like it's supposed to. Sometimes way back in the back, if you can't see it good, this thing might be jumped over a little bit and you'll think it's on. You'll go to fire up the vehicle and it'll either kick it off or shred up your belt. I've done that before. So just make sure that they're lined up on all the pulleys correctly, like up in there. They all look good. And don't forget to, once you get your belt on, to torque this pulley back down. It is 18 foot-pounds. Get it torqued down. Now we're about wrapped up. All we got to do now is put this little plastic cover with this 10mm back on right there, and put our belt back on, plug this plug back in, and man, I think that's about got it wrapped up. So let's go ahead and do those few little things and we'll have her finished up. Alright, that about finishes that up there. We do need to top this coolant back up. Check that and check your reservoir there. Now this vehicle calls for Dex Cool, but I've noticed that someone's already changed it out and put in the yellow stuff, so we're just going to go with that, or green, whatever you want to call it. We didn't lose that much. You can see right there, like, I don't know, what is that, like maybe half a gallon? So we didn't lose too much. We'll get that cap off and go ahead and top this crap up, and then we're going to fire it up and let it set for a few minutes. What I like to do is I will take the cap off and I will fill it up, then I'll let it run for 3 or 4 minutes, and it'll start sucking down some, and then we'll top it back up. It'll suck down a little bit more. You don't want to wait too long because then it's going to start boiling. It's going to start shooting it out at you, so you don't want to wait too long. Just you know, maybe 5-10 minutes. Just keep topping it up and watching it. And then we'll put our cap on. We will put this to the recommended amount, and keep an eye on our temperature gauge up there and make sure we're not overheating and everything looks good. We'll check for leaks, make sure we're not dripping anywhere, and if everything looks good, man, we will wrap this thing up. So let's top it up with some fluid and see what's up. We've got this son of a gun full of coolant now. Let's go ahead and fire it up, and we'll keep topping it up as it goes down. Alright, we've got it fired up now. As you can see, it sucked some of that water down in there, so we're just going to top it up a little bit more, and we're going to do this for about 5 minutes. You don't want to get too hot or it's going to start boiling out. So let's top this thing up. Let's watch for leaks down here by our water pump. Alright, we've got that son of a gun full. I went ahead and put the cap back on there, and I have topped up the overflow reservoir to the appropriate level. She's sounding pretty good now. I don't see any leaks. It's not shooting out any rooster tails anymore, but we're gonna let her get all the way up to temp and then see what's up. Sometimes vehicles don't leak until they get all the way up to temp and they build up pressure, and then it'll start squirting out those little bitty spots that you don't see at first. So let's let her run for about 5 or 10 more minutes, get all the way up to temp, and then we're going to check it for leaks. If not, then we've got the son of a gun wrapped up. Well, all right, guys, that's going to wrap up the video on our water pump. I hope that helped you change out your water pump, and I hope you liked the video. Please like the video and please subscribe. Thanks for watching.